the NFL today, there were two big, huge signings for two teams that you kind of shake your head. And Patrick Mahomes, we all understand Patrick Mahomes he was worth every dime, every penny he got, and I can't take it away from any athlete trying to get as much money as they can possibly get. But this signing, and sources say Browns defensive end Garrett finalizes a $125 million deal. The reason why I look at this contract to be skeptical or kind of outlandish is because this is the same Garrett that got suspended at the end of the season last year doing what he did, taking off his helmet and swinging his helmet at the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback.
And again, if he's a repeat offender, he could get suspended indefinitely again. You saw Vontaze Burfict, what happened with him. He was a great player, but had a reputation issue. And again, if Garrett, hopefully he's not in that boat, but if he becomes a repeat offender, that contract's going to look really bad.
What I don't understand, and I know a lot of NFL teams are trying to sign these players, but it's right now with the pandemic, and you look at the pandemic and the money that they're not going to make this year, even with the TV deals that they're going to get and the exposure they're going to get because fans are going to be sitting there watching the games on TV instead of going to the games. What bothers me about this particular contract is you gave a guy that's still under his rookie contract. This is the same guy that's only been in the NFL for about 2.5 years, who's caused mischief and trouble on the field. He's another, I don't know if he's as bad as Vontaze Burfict.
No, not yet.
But what he did last year was as bad as anything Vontaze Burfict did.
Right.
And I understand that the Cleveland Browns look at this guy to be their, I guess you could say, the heart of their defense, because he is as good as any defensive lineman in football right now. You saw what he did last year, how much trouble and how much he can cause at the line of scrimmage. But this is also a guy that can't be controlled. And that will be the problem that the Browns rookie coach is going to have to deal with. And this is another rookie coach who has really no background as a head coach in the NFL. And you question the fact that they would pay a guy of this magnitude that kind of money. They gave Odell Beckham, they extended Odell Beckham's contract last year when he came from the Giants. The Giants gave him a $20 million contract. They gave him 22, 23. And Odell Beckham did not have the season he had with the Giants over the years.
Nope, only 4 touchdowns.
And then you talk about all the different acquisitions they made over the last couple of years and overpaid. They paid Jack Conklin in the offseason. They paid him a lot of money for an offensive lineman. Mm-hmm. They gave him a 4-year, I think it was a 3 or 4 year deal.
I think it was $15 million per year.
Yeah, that's a lot of money for an offensive tackle, offensive lineman, which they're kind of talking about moving him to guard.
Which is strange because their interior is actually not as bad. Joel Bitonio is a nice player. They really need tackle help badly. The other one I think they overpaid pretty badly too on one good year is Austin Hooper too.
Looking at Garrett's contract, this is the highest paid contract in NFL history, not to a quarterback. Mm. And you argue the point because I don't think Myles Garrett is a bad guy. I really don't. I think he's crazy. I think when you're on the field, you do a lot of crazy things. We've seen outlandish things get done on the field, a.k.a. Antonio Brown. We've seen Vontaze Burfict in the last couple of years. We've seen a lot of different players over the last couple of years, the crazy things that we've seen on the football field. You wouldn't be surprised on what you see. But Myles Garrett, being that he was suspended for the rest of the season, he missed 5 games last year. I think it was 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, it was 5 games.
And he's going to, I don't know if he's going to miss any games this year. I don't think he is.
I don't remember. Because I know the suspension was indefinite, but I thought he got reinstated, and I think they're going to evaluate it again, and the NFL hasn't made a decision yet.
Garrett is 24 years old, and he's still under contract, rookie contract, before he got this extension of a deal. 5 years, $125 million, which is the highest paid defensive lineman in NFL history. He's getting paid more than Donald. He's getting paid more than Khalil Mack. He's making a lot of money. Now, is this guy going to stay out of trouble? That's going to be the question that only Myles Garrett's going to answer. The team can't answer it because the guy has no control. And you could tell the Browns organization doesn't have any control over their players.
Now he's playing for his 4th head coach, and it's already 4th season in the league if he does play.
it is really, really scary when you look at some of these contracts. And by the way, we were talking about Chris Jones, how the Kansas City Chiefs are going to afford Chris Jones. He's going to want $20 million a year. Well, today, the breaking news came out, I would say about an hour ago, that Jones agreed to an $85 million contract. And it's a 4-year deal, which is about $20 million a year. And I'm not going to take shots at Chris Jones because Chris Jones really has done nothing bad on the field.
Right.
The guy is a quiet guy. He doesn't do anything crazy on the field. He doesn't try to injure somebody or try to destruct and completely take them out of the game. We've never seen him do that. But what scares me about this is the fact that when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs and you look at the money they just spent to their quarterback, this could set them back on possibly giving some of their other players extensions.
Yeah.
And big contracts.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be very hard for the Chiefs to have to manage in terms of certain positions. Now, it seems evident they're paying key positions and positions that are important in terms of today's game. They already paid Mahomes, obviously the big deal. They paid Tyreek Hill last year, and they paid Honey Badger a big contract, one of the highest for a safety. So they're definitely prioritizing those areas. But now the question is, can they homegrow enough players and trust Andy Reid and the general manager, I'm drawing a blank on his name, their drafting ability to fill the rest, because they're going to lose a lot of the veteran defensive players that they have now that they did this. And you and I both thought a couple of weeks ago that there would be no shot they paid Jones.
No shots.
It seems like that making that a priority. So they're going to have to be able to homegrown the rest. Because again, they're running out of money in terms of defensive prospects. I think Frank Clark got a big contract too. So they're running out of money right now. Where they spent, I think at one point this offseason they had less than $1 million.
Well, just think about it this: they just gave their quarterback Patrick Mahomes $45 million a year. Mm-hmm. Now they're giving this guy and Chris Jones $21 million a year, and then they give Clark about $18 or $19 million. So you do the math here. That's about $80 million in 3 players.
Right. I think Clark's contract, if I remember correctly, was 5 years, 105.
That's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money to pay 3 players. Now, what are they going to do with Tyreek Hill?
They paid him last year too, which is another big contract they have.
So how do they have all this money? How do they
I guess backloading, front loading.
Now, I understand that they're very good at drafting players. Andy Reid is very, very good at drafting players. So there is no argument to that. We've seen what he's done over the years. Offensively, he finds gems in the 6th and 4th and 5th round. Tyreek Hill was a 6th-round draft pick. So you can find gems in the later drafts, but you have to get lucky.
Right.
What are they going to do with some of these other players that they have? Some of the offensive linemen they have. What are they going to do with Travis Kelce? How are they going to pay Travis Kelce? Travis Kelce just saw a bunch of tight ends get big bucks.
Right.
And Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends, if not the second or possibly the best tight end in football.
He's probably the best receiving tight end, but his blocking maybe is a little skeptical. But he's still going to get the money somewhere if he does get let go by the Chiefs, which might have to happen at this rate with everyone they're paying.
Just think about it this way. He's going to probably ask for between $15 and $18 million. How are they going to pay Travis Kelce? I just don't see it. I can't see it. Now, Travis Kelce is getting older. Travis Kelce is now 30 years old. So at tight end, maybe he has 2, 3, possibly 4 years left. It depends on how his body is going to hold up. But as a tight end, usually their lasting life is only probably till 32, 33. So maybe they aren't going to extend him. Maybe they aren't going to give him a contract. Maybe he takes a lesser contract because he can win a couple of titles with Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and some of these great offensive players that they have.
Yeah, maybe when Kelsey's current contract runs out, I think it's 2 more years on it. Maybe the Chiefs will also maybe keep him for like one shorter contract.
Yeah, veteran minimum.
Yeah,
minimal.
So maybe get that one last big contract and that's it because they're cash strapped. Or maybe there is a year that works out conveniently for both of them. But even if it's not Kelsey, there's going to be something left out. And the thing that you're concerned with being football's 11 players on the field at once, positional groups are going to have to really be homegrown very well. Like you were saying, offensive line, linebacker, which is already pretty big weakness for them as it is. If they don't extend Honey Badger, they have already him, but corners could be another one too. So positional groups could lack if they just commit to the stars. So we'll see how that works.
I do look at Chris Jones to be a very big part and a very big point of where Andy Reid had to go in the offseason to giving a contract. I was very surprised after hearing Patrick Mahomes getting the contract that he had less than a week ago that they would give a guy like Chris Jones $20 million a year, which he already came out and said that he will not take less than that. And now you really strap yourself with 3 contracts that are really stick you for the next 3 to 4 years. Now, Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to take whatever he is worth and pay him whatever he wants. Because he is the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
For a team in the Chiefs that are not very good with quarterbacks historically.
And Chris Jones, as good as he was, and as good as he was coming back from injury in the playoffs, and what he did in the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl was great, and it really helped them dial up their defense later in the game, where it helped them defensively throughout the last 12, 13 minutes of the game.
Yeah, stop the run when they needed to.
But is Chris Jones really worth $20 million? I don't know about that. And Chris Jones, in the last 3 or 4 years, has fought 2 injuries, and he's been out a significant amount of time. So paying a guy like Chris Jones, and I'll tell you this right, I would have liked Chris Jones with the New York Jets. He's one of the best underrated pass rushers in the NFL. People just don't talk about Chris Jones like Khalil Mack or Von Miller or Donald or one of these guys that we've been talking about over and over and over again. He's not one of those guys. But he's a guy that consistently gives you 10 to 11 sacks. He causes trouble in the middle of the field every single time he's at the line of scrimmage. And he puts a lot of pressure on quarterbacks like Tom Brady. Tom Brady came out and said, one of the best defensive linemen he has played against in the last 3 years is Chris Jones. But nobody even talks about Chris Jones because Chris Jones plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're mostly known as as an offensive team.
Right. And Chris Jones, the other thing, too, with him is he can also be outside, he can be inside, so the versatility aspect helps, too. Now, the Chiefs play him mostly inside because their inside depth is not any good, but in terms of his versatility, that helps for any player, too. And, again, if they do have to let go of other guys to make it work, they'll know that at least they don't have to specialize, all right, we can only get an outside guy, we can only get an inside guy. So, from that standpoint, it is valuable. At least you have a knowledge. You're not paying just a speed rusher or just a nose tackle or something like that.
It does bother me when you look at some of these contracts, and with COVID-19 going on, why some of these owners are deciding to pay these players when this season is really going to be a hit or miss. You don't even know if there's going to be a season this year, and that's guaranteed money you have to pay those players. Just think about it. If Chris Jones and the Kansas City Chiefs don't play this year, you have to pay Chris Jones $21 million. You got to pay Patrick Mahomes $45 million, and you're going to have to pay Clark about $19 to $20 million as well. So how does these owners, and I understand the ownership, they want to keep their players, they want to pay their players, and they want to make sure that they have a chance to win a championship every single year. But overpaying players right now when the pandemic is going on and where you're probably not even going to have crowds all season long.
Which is really going to hurt the Chiefs because their fan base is one of the best in the league.
But I think it all has to do with TV deals. And you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to make a lot of money off the new construction of the CBA deal that the NFL is going to try to figure out with the sponsorships and advertisements, how they're going to share those advertisements and sponsorships with those teams. So I'm very intrigued and very interested to see where the NFL goes moving forward with this pandemic, and if there is going to be an NFL season. And if there is, I do think the Chiefs are one of the favorites of winning. They are. They're going to be one of the favorites of winning this year. They're even a better team this year, especially drafting a top running back in the first round and the late first round. So you know they're going to dial on all cylinders going into the season, because it's not just going to be Williams that are going to be behind the line of scrimmage for the quarterback to use them in the open field. You're going to have a dual threat running back momentum team that they needed after they lost Kareem Hunt. For, the different things that happened in the offseason, during the season a couple of years ago. So I am very intrigued on what Kansas City, if there is a season, but Kansas City is definitely favorites of coming out of the AFC. As far as the whole Myles Garrett situation, I was very, very surprised that the Browns would give Garrett $125 million right now, knowing that he had that regular season mishap and he missed 5 games, and he missed, if there was going to be a playoff, he wasn't going to be in the playoffs. And I'm not saying that the Cleveland Browns were going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think
this
they
year,
were like
but-
5-7 at the time or something.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
it affected them even trying to even make a run for the playoffs because at the end of the season, the 6th seed, there was a good chance that it could have been an 8-18.